The first thing Claire Bennett said when she reached me wasn't, "Are you hurt?" It wasn't, "Ethan, what happened?" It wasn't even my name. "Turn around. Put your hands behind your back." For 3 full seconds. I thought I had misheard her. Rain hammered the pavement around us, turning the flashing red and blue lights into streaks across the wet street. 20 feet away, a black Aston Martin had buried its front end into the concrete divider. Steam hissed from beneath the crushed hood. Broken glass glittered across the road. And beside the passenger door stood Ryan Whitmore. His white shirt was stained with blood. His lip was split. But he wasn't frightened. He was watching me, calmly, almost curiously. Claire? My girlfriend stood 6 feet away from me. Her dark hair was pulled back beneath her cap, rainwater running along her jaw. I knew that face better than my own. I knew the tiny crease between her eyebrows when she was worried. I knew the way she pressed her lips together when she was hiding something. Tonight, both were there. "Ethan." Her voice lowered. "Please don't make this harder." I stared at her. "Make what harder?" Her partner stepped toward me. Claire raised one hand, stopping him. Then she looked at me again. "Turn around." I laughed. Not because anything was funny. Because my mind couldn't connect the woman standing in front of me with the words coming from her mouth. "Claire." Ryan was driving. Nobody moved. I pointed at the wreck. He was driving that car. Ryan wiped blood from the corner of his mouth. "That isn't what happened." I turned toward him. "You want to try that again?" Ryan's eyes hardened. Claire stepped between us. "Ethan." He was driving. "I heard you. Then why are you telling me to turn around?" Her eyes flicked toward Ryan. It lasted less than a second. But I saw it. And something cold moved through my chest. "Claire." She wouldn't look at me. I stepped closer. "Look at me. Don't. Look at me and tell me Ryan wasn't driving." Her jaw tightened. "Ethan, you've been drinking." I froze. "What?" "You've been drinking tonight." "I had 1 beer 3 hours ago." Ryan spoke from behind her. "You had more than one." I looked past Claire. He was smiling now. Barely, but definitely smiling. "You son of a..." Claire grabbed my arm. "Stop." I pulled away. "Ask him where the keys were." She said nothing. "Claire, ask him." Ryan reached into his pocket. Empty. My stomach tightened. I touched my jacket. Then my jeans. Nothing. I remembered Ryan stumbling from the driver's side after the crash. I remembered dragging him away from the smoking hood. I remembered him grabbing my jacket while I called for help. And suddenly I understood why. "Check him." Claire's expression changed. "Check Ryan's pockets." "Ethan, he took the keys." Ryan gave a disbelieving laugh. "This is insane. You took them when I pulled you out." "I wasn't in the driver's seat." "You were." "I wasn't." I lunged toward him. Claire caught me again. This time her voice cracked like a whip. "Enough." The street went silent except for the rain. I looked at her hand wrapped around my wrist. Then I looked into her eyes. "Do you believe him?" She didn't answer. That hurt more than if she had said yes. 6 hours earlier, I had been standing in our kitchen with a diamond ring hidden in my pocket. I'd spent nearly 4 months choosing it. Claire hated flashy jewelry, so I'd avoided the giant stones the salesman kept pushing toward me. I chose something simple instead, a narrow platinum band with a small diamond that caught the light when you moved it. It cost more than I should have spent. I didn't care. At 29, I thought my life was finally beginning. My company, Cole Mobility Systems, was 48 hours away from signing its first major licensing agreement. For 3 years, I'd been building an adaptive vehicle control platform from almost nothing. People had laughed when I left a secure engineering job to start the company. Claire hadn't. She had stayed up with me through nights when I slept beside my laptop. She brought food to the garage where Daniel Ross and I built our first prototype. When our first investor walked away, Claire told me we'd laugh about it one day. When the second investor came in, she kissed me so hard I nearly fell over. That afternoon, I'd received the call I'd been waiting for. The Halcyon Group wanted to move forward. If the contract closed, my company would survive. More than survive. Daniel had slapped me on the back and said, "You're about to become disgustingly rich." I'd laughed. "I only need enough for one thing." Then I'd shown him the ring. Daniel stared at it. "No way. Tomorrow night." "You're actually doing it?" "That's the plan." "You told Claire?" "That's generally not how proposals work." He grinned. Poor woman. I shoved him. For a few hours, the world had felt almost embarrassingly perfect. Then Ryan Whitmore called. Ryan and I weren't friends. Not really. We'd met through investors because Whitmore Automotive had shown interest in my software. Ryan was 31, rich from birth. and possessed the effortless confidence of someone who had never heard the word no unless he was paying someone to say it. He asked me to meet him at the Vesper Club, said he wanted to discuss a licensing offer. I should have refused. Instead, I went. Because a startup founder doesn't ignore the heir to one of the largest transportation fortunes in the state. Ryan drank too much. That part one remembered perfectly. 3 bourbons in less than an hour. Then 2 more. He spent most of the meeting telling me I was undervaluing my technology. You're sitting on a gold mine. Ethan, then license it. I don't want to license it. What do you want? I want to own it. Not happening. He smiled. Everybody has a number. I don't. Everybody says that before they hear the number. He wrote something on a napkin and slid it toward me. I looked. $8 million. 3 years earlier. I might have fainted. That night, I folded the napkin and pushed it back. No. His smile disappeared. You think Halcyon is going to make you bigger than Whitmore? This isn't about being bigger. Then what is it about? Being mine. For some reason. That answer irritated him. He ordered another drink. I left. 20 minutes later. He came stumbling into the parking garage after me. Ethan, I kept walking. He followed. You're making a mistake. I've made plenty. Turning down your offer isn't one. Ryan grabbed my shoulder. I turned. His face was flushed. You have any idea what my father can do for you? I know what he wants to do to my company. Same difference. Good night. Ryan. I walked toward the elevator. Then I heard his engine roar. I turned. The Aston Martin shot backward from its space so fast it nearly clipped a pillar. Ryan, he ignored me. I should have let him go. Instead, I ran toward my own car. I followed him. 10 minutes later, I watched his Aston Martin cross 2 lanes. Then came the impact. Metal screamed. Glass exploded. The car spun once before smashing into the divider. I stopped and ran. Ryan was slumped behind the wheel. There was another vehicle 30 yards away. Its side was crushed. I remember pulling Ryan out. I remember calling for help. I remember shouting at him to stay awake. And I remember him clutching my jacket. At the time, I thought he was frightened. Now I knew better. Where are my keys? I asked. Claire's face had gone pale. Ethan, stop. Where are my keys? Her partner reached toward me. I raised both hands. I'm not resisting. I want someone to answer one question. Ryan spoke. You drove. I stared at him. You're really doing this. You were angry when we left the club. You took my car. I almost laughed again. Why would I take your car when mine was downstairs? You weren't thinking clearly. And you were? I tried to stop you. There was something terrifying about how easily he said it. No hesitation. No panic. He'd already rehearsed this. I looked at Claire. Tell him. Her eyes met mine. Tell him what you told me last month. She swallowed. You said Ryan was reckless. You said he drove drunk all the time. Ethan, you said someday he'd kill somebody. That's enough. No, it's not. Her partner moved closer. Claire spoke before he could. We have witnesses. The words hit me strangely. What witnesses? 2 people saw you leave the driver's side. That is a lie. We also have footage from the intersection. What footage? Traffic camera. I stared at her. That camera faces north. Claire blinked. The crash happened on the southbound side. You can't see the driver's door from that angle. Nobody answered. My heart began pounding harder. I wasn't dealing with confusion anymore. This was constructed. Already. Far too quickly. I looked at Ryan. His father was one of the richest men in the state. Money didn't make evidence appear in 20 minutes. But money could make phone calls happen very quickly. Claire, I said quietly, I need to speak to you alone. I can't. Yes, you can. Ethan, please. Maybe it was my tone. Maybe she knew she owed me at least that much. She led me several yards away. The moment we were beyond Ryan's hearing, I turned on her. What did they offer you? Her eyes widened. Nothing. Don't lie to me again. I'm not. Then why are you doing this? She looked toward the wreck. I grabbed her shoulders. Claire, let go. Tell me. Her eyes filled with something I couldn't identify. Fear. Not fear of me. Fear of something much bigger. Ryan's father called. There it was. I released her. When? Before I got here. How did he know you were coming? Silence. Claire. He knows about us. My blood went cold. What does that mean? He knows you're my boyfriend. He knows about your company. He knows about the Halcyon deal. I stared at her. How? I don't know. You do. She looked away. What did he say? He said this could become very ugly. For Ryan. For everyone. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. He was drunk. He caused the crash. Keep your voice down. Why? Because you're making this worse. For who? She closed her eyes. Then she whispered the sentence that would stay with me for 8 years. Just cooperate. I'll find a way to fix this later. I stared at her. Rain ran down my face. So that's it? No. You know he was driving. I know this isn't as simple as you think. It is exactly that simple. Ethan, the Whitmores can destroy both of us. I felt something inside me break. Not dramatically. Not loudly. It simply snapped. So your solution is to destroy me first? Her eyes filled with tears. I can help you. You're helping him. I'm trying to keep this from getting worse. For me? For us. I laughed. There is no us if you do this. She flinched. Don't say that. Why? You think I'm going home with you after this? You don't understand. No. Claire. I understand perfectly. I reached into my inner jacket pocket. My fingers touched the small velvet box. For one insane second, I considered showing it to her. Showing her what tonight was supposed to be. Instead, I pulled my hand away. She never saw the ring. Turn around. She whispered. This time I did. The story they built was almost elegant. I had supposedly drunk heavily at Vesper. I had argued with Ryan about my company. I had taken his car. I had driven recklessly. I had caused the crash. Ryan had supposedly been the passenger. 2 witnesses confirmed it. The camera footage showed someone in my jacket near the driver's side after impact. My fingerprints were on the steering wheel. Of course they were. I'd reached through the driver's side while trying to release Ryan's seatbelt. But context disappeared quickly when powerful people wanted it gone. Within 48 hours, Halcyon suspended negotiations. Within a week, 2 investors withdrew. Within a month, Cole Mobility Systems was effectively dead. Daniel tried to save it. He couldn't. I kept waiting for Claire to fix things. She had promised. Every time I saw her, she had another excuse. We need more time. Ryan's lawyers are watching everything. Don't push too hard. Trust me. Trust me. The cruelest 2 words anyone had ever said to me. Then came the final blow. Claire submitted a statement saying I'd told her before the crash that I wanted to teach Ryan Whitmore a lesson. I had never said those words. When I confronted her, she cried. I didn't. I had run out of tears by then. You made that up. I had to. No. You chose to. They already had enough. So why add more? She couldn't answer. Was this part of fixing it? Ethan, was this your plan? I thought they'd go easier on you if you cooperated. I looked at her for a long time. Then I asked the only question that mattered. Did you know he was driving? She said nothing. That was the moment Claire Bennett stopped being the woman I loved. Not when she put cuffs on me. Not when she lied in her report. Not when she helped Ryan. It was when she stood 3 feet away from me and couldn't say no. On the final day, the room was packed. Ryan sat with his family's attorneys. He wore a Navy suit. No bruises anymore. No blood. No fear. Claire sat 2 rows behind him. I had lost 15 pounds. My company was gone. My savings were nearly gone. My future had been reduced to folders of evidence that somehow always favored Ryan Whitmore. Daniel sat behind me. When I turned, he nodded once. He still believed me. Maybe he was the only one. Before I was taken away, I looked at Claire. She stared at her hands. Ryan turned. Our eyes met. And he smiled. Tiny. Private. Victorious. That smile did something useful. It killed the last part of me, still hoping this was all some terrible mistake. I understood then. Nobody was coming to save me. Not Claire. Not the truth. Not fairness. If I ever got another chance, I would have to do it myself. I looked at Ryan until his smile faded. Then I made a promise without speaking a word. I would remember everything. Every contradiction. Every lie. Every missing second of footage. Every person who had looked away. And especially the woman who had once slept beside me. Held my hand. Promised to build a life with me. Then helped another man steal mine. 8 years later, I kept that promise. The world didn't look different after 8 years. That was the first thing that surprised me. Cars still stopped at red lights. People still walked down sidewalks staring at their phones. Coffee shops were crowded. Planes crossed the sky. People complained about traffic and deadlines and rent as though 8 years were nothing. To them, they were. To me, 8 years were everything. I stood outside the transit terminal carrying one duffel bag. Everything I owned fit inside it. A man bumped my shoulder. Sorry. I nodded. He kept walking. Nobody recognized me. That should have felt like freedom. Instead, it felt like proof that the world had successfully forgotten Ethan Cole. I took out my phone. A cheap prepaid model. There were 3 numbers saved. One belonged to the temporary housing office. One belonged to a man helping with employment placement. The third belonged to Daniel Ross. I stared at it for almost a minute before pressing call. He answered on the second ring. Hello? I didn't speak. Hello? Still answering unknown numbers? Silence. Then, Ethan. My throat tightened. Hey, Daniel. You're out? Apparently. You're out. I heard movement. Something crashed in the background. Where are you? Downtown terminal. Don't move. I wasn't planning. The call ended. 23 minutes later. A gray SUV stopped beside the curb. Daniel climbed out before the engine was off. He looked older. Of course he did. Gray touched his temples. He wore glasses now. But when he saw me, his face became the same face I remembered from the garage 8 years earlier. You look terrible. I laughed. You got old. He hugged me. Hard. For a moment. Neither of us said anything. Then he stepped back. That's all you have. I looked at the duffel. Traveling light. His smile disappeared. Come on. Daniel had built a life. That hurt more than I expected. Not because I resented him. Because seeing his life showed me exactly how much time had passed. He had a house. A wife named Maya. A 6-year-old daughter. Pictures covered the refrigerator. Birthdays. Vacations. Christmas mornings. A first day of school. 8 years represented in photographs. I stared too long. Daniel noticed. He quietly turned me toward the guest room. You can stay here. I'll find somewhere. You already did. I don't need charity. Good. Because I'm charging rent. How much? $1 a month. Daniel. 2. Final offer. Despite myself. I smiled. His wife treated me like an ordinary guest. I later realized Daniel must have warned her not to ask questions. That evening, after everyone went to sleep, Daniel and I sat in his garage. He handed me a beer. I stared at it. He immediately started to take it back. Sorry. I caught the bottle. One beer didn't ruin my life. He stopped. Ryan did. I opened it. And Claire helped. Daniel sat across from me. There it was. Her name. I'd known we'd eventually reach it. How is she? He hesitated. Do you really want to know? No. He nodded. We drank silently. 30 seconds later, I asked, how is she? Daniel almost smiled. Doing well. Of course. She moved up fast. How fast? He took out his phone. He searched something and slid it across the workbench. Claire's face appeared. Older. Sharper. More confident. She was standing at a public ceremony receiving an award. I read the article. Detective Claire Bennett. Commended for investigative work. I laughed once. Daniel watched me carefully. What? Nothing. Ethan. It's funny. What is? She built a career on being good at finding the truth. Daniel said nothing. I scrolled. There were more photographs. Claire speaking at events. Claire receiving recognition. Claire standing beside city officials. Claire smiling. She looked good. That surprised me too. Part of me had imagined betrayal would somehow leave visible damage. Apparently guilt moisturized well. I handed the phone back. Ryan? Daniel didn't move. What about him? You already looked her up. Don't pretend you haven't looked him up too. Daniel sighed. Then searched. Ryan Whitmore appeared instantly. The boy from 8 years ago was gone. In his place was a polished executive. Perfect suit. Expensive watch. Controlled smile. Ryan Whitmore, named CEO of Whitmore Dynamics. I read the headline twice. CEO. 3 years ago. What happened to his father? Heart attack. 5 years ago. I kept scrolling. Whitmore Dynamics had expanded aggressively into autonomous transportation systems. My thumb stopped. I opened an article. Then another. Then another. My pulse changed. Daniel. I know. I zoomed in on a diagram. A vehicle response network. Predictive steering correction. Dynamic hazard mapping. Integrated sensor prioritization. The names were different. The architecture wasn't. I looked at Daniel. What the hell is this? He leaned against the workbench. I was waiting. For what? For you to see it yourself. I stood. This is adaptive vector. Parts of it. No. This is my system. I know. Who gave it to them? Daniel didn't answer. Daniel. 3 months after you were gone. A small company called ArcLight Systems filed a series of patents. I felt sick. Never heard of them. You wouldn't have. Who owned it? On paper? A holding company. And behind the holding company? He looked at me. Whitmore Capital. The garage became very quiet. I sat back down. No. I spent years digging. They couldn't have patented my work. Not directly. My prototypes. Your company collapsed. My source files. Some disappeared. I looked at him sharply. What? After Coal Mobility shut down, our storage unit was cleared. By who? Company creditor. Which creditor? Daniel gave me a humorless smile. Guess. I already knew. Whitmore. Through 2 intermediaries. My hands curled into fists. For 8 years. I believed Ryan framed me because he was scared. Because he wanted to escape responsibility. That had been enough. Now another possibility opened in front of me. What if the crash wasn't the whole reason? Daniel leaned forward. I've been asking myself that for 6 years. I looked again at Ryan's photograph. His company. His technology. My technology. Did Ryan know Halcyon was about to sign? Yes. He offered to buy my company that night. Yes. I refused. Yes. Hours later. He crashes his car. Yes. And I'm the one blamed. Daniel nodded. Then 3 months later his family's company starts acquiring pieces of what I built. Yes. I stared at the screen. 8 years. They hadn't only stolen my freedom. They had harvested the wreckage afterward. Daniel reached beneath the workbench and pulled out a thick cardboard box. He placed it in front of me. What is this? Your life. I opened it. Documents. Photographs. Old company records. Copies of statements. Articles. Patent filings. Vehicle reports. My hand stopped on a familiar folder. Cole Mobility Systems. I touched the faded logo. I designed it myself. You kept all this. Somebody had to. Why? Daniel looked offended. Because you didn't do it. You couldn't know that. Yes. I could. How? Because I knew you. The answer hit harder than I expected. Claire had known me too. Or I thought she had. Daniel continued. And because the evidence was too perfect. I looked up. What do you mean? Real cases are messy. Yours wasn't. Every question had an answer before anybody asked it. He pulled out a traffic camera report. Remember the footage? 17 seconds. His eyes narrowed. You remember? I remember everything. There was a 17-second interruption. I know. The official explanation was transmission failure. I know. Daniel pulled out another document. The camera had no other transmission failures that month. I stared at it. Where did you get this? Public maintenance records. Another paper. Ryan's car computer was replaced 48 hours after the crash. Why? Officially? Impact damage. Unofficially? Whitmore Automotive ordered the replacement before an independent examiner could inspect it. Another page. And one of the witnesses who said you were driving bought a house 6 months later. That proves nothing. No. But the mortgage was paid through a consulting bonus. From? Company called Meridian Strategy. I looked at him. He waited. Whitmore? Whitmore Capital owned 38%. My heartbeat accelerated. This wasn't proof. Not yet. But it was something I'd been denied 8 years ago. Questions. Real questions. I closed the box. Why didn't you send this before? I tried sending pieces. Not all of it. Because you would have spent 8 years living inside this box. I did anyway. Daniel had no answer. 3 days later, I walked past the building where Cole Mobility Systems used to be. It was now a luxury fitness center. Through the glass, people ran on treadmills where our prototype benches had once stood. I almost laughed. A sign advertised a smoothie for $14. My company had died, so someone could sell $14 smoothies. Progress. I turned to leave. A black sedan stopped at the curb. The rear door opened. A woman stepped out. I recognized her before she looked at me. Claire. For 8 years. I'd imagined this moment. In some versions, I screamed at her. In others, I walked away. Sometimes she cried. Sometimes I did. Reality was quieter. She stared at me. Ethan. I said nothing. She looked different in person. More tired than the photograph suggested. Her eyes moved over my face as though searching for the 29-year-old man she'd lost. He wasn't there. I heard you were released. News travels. I wanted to come. But? She swallowed. I didn't know if you'd want that. You finally guessed something correctly. Pain crossed her face. Once. Seeing Claire hurt would have made me cross a room. Now I felt almost nothing. Almost. I've thought about you every day. That sounds exhausting. Please don't do this. Do what? Talk to me like I'm a stranger. I looked at her. You are a stranger. Her eyes became wet. Ethan, what did you expect? I don't know. You had 8 years to figure it out. She looked toward the old building. I remember coming here. Good for you. You used to sleep upstairs. There wasn't an upstairs. She blinked. What? The couch was behind the storage partition. Her face changed. Such a small thing. But it told me something. She hadn't remembered as much as she wanted to believe. I tried to help you. She said. There it was. The sentence I'd been waiting 8 years to hear. I almost admired her courage. No. I did. You helped Ryan. It wasn't like that. Then explain it. I can't explain 8 years in 5 minutes. You can explain one thing. She went still. I stepped closer. Was Ryan driving? Her lips parted. No sound came out. People passed behind us. Cars moved through the intersection. Somewhere nearby, someone laughed. I waited. 8 years. One question. 3 words would answer it. Yes, he was. Claire looked down, and suddenly I didn't need those words. I nodded. Thanks. Ethan. Wait. I turned. She grabbed my sleeve. I looked at her hand. She immediately released me. You don't understand what was happening back then. You're right. I looked at her. I thought my girlfriend loved me. She flinched. I did love you. Then your version of love is expensive. I was 27. I was scared. So was I? The Whitmores threatened everything. So you gave them me? No. Yes. Her voice rose. I thought you'd get a reduced sentence. I stared at her. The words came out before she could stop them. She knew immediately. You thought I'd get a reduced sentence. Ethan, so you knew. I didn't mean. You knew I was innocent. And you were negotiating how much of my life they were allowed to take. Tears appeared in her eyes. Please. No. I can explain. You just did. She reached for me again. I stepped back. That hurt her. Good. Maybe some part of me still wanted it to. She wiped her face. Ryan knows you're back. That stopped me. I looked at her. Does he? He knows you've been asking questions. I've barely started. That's why I'm here. To protect him again? To protect you. I laughed. She stiffened. Don't underestimate him. I underestimated him once. Ethan, I'm serious. So am I. Whitmore Dynamics isn't what his father's company used to be. Ryan has connections everywhere. Money. Lawyers. People who good. She stared at me. What? I'd hate for this to be boring. This isn't a joke. No. I stepped closer. It's 8 years of my life. Claire's face tightened. Let it go. For a moment. I thought I'd misheard her. What did you say? I'm not saying forgive him. I'm saying build something new. Start over. Start over. You were brilliant before. You can be again. Before. The word almost made me smile. You really think they only took 8 years from me? What does that mean? I didn't answer. She didn't know about the patents. Maybe she genuinely didn't. Or maybe Claire Bennett had taught me enough about trust to never assume innocence again. Tell Ryan something for me. I don't work for Ryan. You did 8 years ago. Her face went white. I continued. Tell him I'm not interested in revenge. Claire seemed almost relieved. Then I finished. I'm interested in the truth. Her relief disappeared. Ethan, and unlike 8 years ago, I have time. I walked away. She called my name. I didn't turn. That evening, Daniel found me sitting in the garage with the cardboard box open. Documents covered the workbench. What happened? I saw Claire. He stopped. You okay? Perfect. That means no. I handed him one of the patent filings. Forget Claire. That was fast. I want to know exactly how Whitmore got this. Daniel looked at the document. I've traced some of it. Trace all of it. That could take months. I lost 8 years. I looked at Ryan Whitmore's smiling photograph lying beside the files. I can spare a few months. Daniel sat down. You realize if we start pulling this apart, Ryan will notice. He already has. How? Claire warned me. Daniel cursed under his breath. I smiled. What? For 8 years. Ryan knew exactly where I was. I picked up the photograph. He knew I couldn't touch him. I placed it beside the traffic report. The missing footage. The replaced computer. The witness payment. The patents. Pieces. Not enough yet. But every machine failed the same way. One small component at a time. Now he doesn't know what I'm going to do. Daniel studied me. What are you going to do? I looked at the evidence. Then I thought about the ring I'd carried in my pocket on the night Claire put cuffs on me. I had kept it for almost 2 years afterward. Not because I believed we'd still get married. Because throwing it away felt like admitting the life I'd planned was really gone. Eventually, I stopped needing it. That was the thing Ryan and Claire had never understood. They thought 8 years would break me. In some ways, they were right. The man who followed Ryan's car that night was gone. The man who trusted Claire's promise was gone. The founder who believed good technology and hard work were enough was gone. But something else had survived. Something patient. I looked at Daniel. I'm going to find the first lie. He frowned. The first? They told too many. If we attack the biggest one, they'll defend it. I tapped the traffic camera report. So we don't start with the biggest. Understanding appeared in his eyes. We start small. 17 missing seconds. And if we find who removed them, we find who ordered it. And then, I looked again at Ryan's photograph. 8 years ago, he'd smiled while my life collapsed around me. This time, I smiled. Then we keep pulling. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I opened the message. There were only 7 words. You should have stayed away. Ethan Cole. Daniel read it over my shoulder. Well, he looked at me. That didn't take long. I stared at the message. Then another arrived. This one contained a photograph. It showed me standing outside the old Cole Mobility building with Claire earlier that afternoon. Someone had been watching us. Daniel's expression darkened. Ryan? Probably. What do you want to do? I saved the photograph. Then I saved the number. Nothing. Nothing. Not yet. I put the phone down. Because whoever sent that message had made the first mistake. They wanted me frightened. Instead, they had confirmed something far more valuable. Ryan Whitmore was afraid. And I had barely begun. Ryan Whitmore invited me to his charity gala 6 days after sending the anonymous threat. That told me almost everything I needed to know about him. A frightened man hides. An arrogant man invites you into his house so he can prove you still belong beneath him. The invitation arrived in a cream envelope thick enough to be ridiculous. The Whitmore Foundation annual BFIT at the bottom. Someone had written by hand. I think we should talk. Our Daniel read it twice. You're not going. I am. You know this is a setup. Of course. That doesn't make going smarter. It makes it useful. Daniel dropped the invitation on the table. You spent 8 years waiting to get out. Maybe don't walk voluntarily into a room full of people who helped put you there. I buttoned my shirt. They didn't help put me there. What would you call it? They watched. He gave me a long look. That's supposed to make me feel better? No. I picked up my jacket. It means I want them watching this too. The Whitmore Foundation Gala occupied the top floor of the Meridian Hotel. Glass walls. Crystal chandeliers. Champagne that probably cost more per bottle than my first month's rent after college. I recognized several faces from old business magazines. People who had once ignored my emails now smiled toward Ryan like he generated sunlight. Ryan stood near the center of the room. Of course he did. He wore a black tuxedo and the relaxed expression of a man standing inside a world he owned. Claire was there too. That surprised me less. She wore a dark blue dress instead of a uniform. For half a second, memory betrayed me. 8 years vanished. I remembered Claire leaning over a kitchen counter, laughing with flour on her cheek. Then she turned and saw me. The memory disappeared. Ryan followed her gaze. His smile changed. There it was. Recognition. Amusement. Then something smaller underneath. Concern. He approached with a glass in one hand. Ethan. Ryan. You came. You invited me. I wasn't sure you would. I wasn't sure you'd be stupid enough to invite me. His smile tightened. Claire reached us before he answered. Ethan. Detective. Pain flashed across her face. Ryan noticed. He noticed everything. I'm glad you two are talking again. We're not. I said. Ryan laughed lightly. Still sharp. Still driving? Claire stiffened. Ryan's eyes cooled. Careful. There it is. What? The part where you stop pretending this is charity. Ryan looked around. No one nearby appeared to be listening. That meant everyone was. He lowered his voice. You need money. No. You need work. No. You need a life. That one I'll build myself. He smiled. I can help. I almost admired him. 8 years, and he still believed everything was a transaction. What do you want? Ryan nodded toward a quieter corner. We moved away from the crowd. Claire followed. Ryan glanced at her. You don't need to be part of this. Her jaw tightened. Yes, I do. He smiled at her. Old habits. Claire looked away. Interesting. Ryan turned to me. Whitmore Dynamics is expanding our mobility research division. I've noticed. You could join us. I stared at him. He continued. Senior consultant. Good salary. Housing assistance. Equity after 2 years. For several seconds, I said nothing. Then I laughed. Not loudly. That seemed to irritate him more. You think this is funny? I'm trying to decide whether you rehearsed it. Ethan, you framed me. Took 8 years. Absorbed pieces of my company. And now you want to hire me. Several nearby conversations quieted. Claire whispered, keep your voice down. I looked at her. You used to say that a lot. Ryan's jaw flexed. You should be careful making accusations you can't prove. There it is again. What? The threat. It's advice. From experience? He took one step closer. You have no idea what you're dealing with. I know exactly what I'm dealing with. No. You know what happened 8 years ago. Do I? His expression shifted. Barely. But enough. I saw it. He knew there were things I didn't know. Good. I smiled. What? Nothing. I stepped back. Enjoy the gala. Ryan's composure cracked. That's it. You offered me a job. I said no. You didn't actually say no. No. I walked away. Behind me. He said, you're making the same mistake again. I stopped. Turned. 8 years earlier. He'd said almost the same thing at the club. You're making a mistake. Back then, it had sounded like arrogance. Now it sounded like habit. I looked at him. So are you. 30 minutes later, Ryan went on stage. The room applauded. He spoke about innovation, responsibility, second chances. That last phrase made me smile. Then he looked directly at me. And tonight, I want to recognize someone whose story reminds us that rebuilding is possible. Daniel had been right. It was a setup. Ryan held out one hand. Ethan Cole. Every head turned. I stayed where I was. Ryan smiled publicly. Ethan has had a difficult road. Whitmore Dynamics believes people deserve opportunities to rebuild their lives. Claire's face went pale. She hadn't known. Ryan continued. That's why I'm pleased to announce we've offered Ethan a position in our mobility division. Polite applause spread across the room. I understood immediately. He wasn't offering me employment. He was rewriting the story. If I accepted, Ryan became generous. If I refused, I became bitter. Either way, he won. At least. That was the plan. Someone handed me a microphone. I walked toward the stage. Ryan smiled. Ethan. I took the microphone. Thank you. Ryan's smile widened. I looked out at the room. Ryan is right about one thing. Silence. People do deserve second chances. Ryan relaxed slightly. So I hope Whitmore Dynamics gets one. His expression changed. A few people laughed uncertainly. I continued. Because I heard your European infrastructure partnership was delayed this morning. The room went still. Ryan's eyes sharpened. That isn't relevant. It might be to the investors in this room. Someone near the front checked his phone. Then another. Ryan stepped closer. What are you talking about? Nordhaven Mobility suspended technical approval. I saw the exact moment he realized I shouldn't know that. Claire looked between us. Ryan lowered his voice. How do you know? I smiled. Apparently people still answer my calls. That wasn't entirely true. Not yet. But it was close enough. Nordhaven had discovered that several critical architecture questions could not be answered without documentation Whitmore did not fully possess. Documentation based on my original work. Daniel and I had quietly contacted one former engineer involved in the integration process. One conversation became three. Three became an internal review. This morning, Nordhaven delayed the agreement. Not canceled. Delayed. That was enough. Ryan tried to regain control. This is a routine review. Of course. I looked toward the crowd. Then nobody has anything to worry about. A man in a gray tuxedo stepped forward. Ryan. Is this true? Ryan ignored him. He stared at me. What did you do? I answered questions. You interfered with a confidential negotiation. No. I handed the microphone back. I corrected some technical misunderstandings. His face hardened. You're playing a dangerous game. I stepped close enough that only he and Claire could hear. You taught me the rules. Then I walked off the stage. Claire followed me into the hallway. What did you do? You already asked. That partnership is worth hundreds of millions. Then Ryan should understand the systems he's selling. Her eyes narrowed. This is about your old company. I stopped. Is it? Ethan, you really don't know. She froze. That answered another question. Claire may have helped frame me, but Ryan had kept parts of the aftermath from her. Interesting. What don't I know? I studied her. For someone who told me to let go, you're suddenly very curious. Because Ryan is dangerous. So were you. She flinched. You keep doing that. Doing what? Turning everything into what I did. I laughed quietly. That's because everything keeps leading back to what you did. Her eyes filled with anger. You think I haven't paid for it? I looked at her dress. Her expensive watch. Her career. Not enough. The words landed harder than I expected. Claire stared at me. For 1 second, I saw the old version of her. Then she straightened. What are you planning? Nothing you can stop. You don't know that. That made me pause. There was something in her voice. A warning. Or a threat. Maybe both. I stepped closer. Are you warning me as someone who cares? She said nothing. Or as someone who's afraid I'll find something. Her face changed. Just slightly. Enough. Before I could press further, Ryan appeared at the end of the hallway. Claire. She turned. He didn't look at me. We need to talk. Claire hesitated. I almost laughed. 8 years later. And there it was again. Ryan called. Claire went. She took 2 steps toward him. Then stopped. Look back at me. Don't do anything reckless. I smiled. I did that once. When? Trusted you. She went pale. I left. In the elevator. My phone buzzed. Daniel. I answered. Tell me you're leaving. I'm leaving. Good. Because Nordhaven just emailed. And they want a technical review with you. I smiled. When? Tomorrow. The elevator doors opened. Daniel continued. And Ethan? Yeah? Ryan's office called me. My smile disappeared. What did they want? They asked whether I still had any coal mobility records. There it was. He was scared. Not of me. Of what I might still have. I stepped into the lobby. Tell them no. Daniel laughed. That'll be easy. Why? Because I already told them everything was destroyed 8 years ago. I stopped. You lied. Learned from the best. For the first time that night, I genuinely smiled. Outside, rain had started falling, just like 8 years ago. But this time, I wasn't standing beside a wreck while Ryan built the story. This time, he was wondering what I knew. And that difference was worth everything. The first lie wasn't the witnesses. It wasn't Claire's statement. It wasn't the missing vehicle data. It was the camera. 17 seconds. That was where we started. Daniel spread maintenance reports across his dining room table. His daughter had left a purple crayon beside one page. A strange image. 8 years of corruption sitting next to a drawing of a unicorn. This one, Daniel said. I leaned closer. Traffic camera 14B. Intersection maintenance history. No recorded failures for 11 months before the crash. No failures for 7 months after. One interruption. 17 seconds. The exact window we needed. What caused it? Official answer was packet loss, which is meaningless. Exactly. He pushed another document toward me. So I found the contractor who maintained the system. Still around? Company isn't. Owner? Retired. Name? Samuel Pike. I looked at him. Address? Daniel smiled. You're becoming predictable. Samuel Pike lived 90 minutes outside the city. He opened the door holding a mug and looking irritated. Whatever you're selling. No. I'm Ethan Cole. The irritation disappeared. Not slowly. Immediately. That told me enough. I don't know you. You do. No. I held up the maintenance report. His face tightened. I can't help you. You knew my name 8 years ago. He started closing the door. I put my hand against it. I'm not here to hurt you. Then leave. 17 seconds. His eyes flicked toward mine. There. Why were they removed? I said leave. Who called you? His hand tightened around the mug. No one. Then why are you scared? He stared at me for a long time, then looked past me toward Daniel's car. Come back tonight. Why? Not here. Where? He gave me the address of a diner, then closed the door. Daniel raised an eyebrow when I returned. That went well. He told us to meet tonight, which means he knows something. Pike arrived 20 minutes late. He sat in the booth and refused coffee. I'm not saying anyone paid me. I didn't ask that. You were going to. Yes. He looked toward the window. I was a subcontractor. Camera systems. Municipal networks. Storage backups. Boring stuff. Until mine. His jaw tightened. Your footage was flagged. By who? I never knew. What does flagged mean? A remote access request came in. Daniel leaned forward. From what account? Pike shook his head. Administrative credential. High level. Could you identify the location? Not exactly. Could you identify the company? He looked at me. Meridian Infrastructure. I knew the name. Daniel knew it too. Same corporate family as Meridian Strategy. The company tied to one of the witness payments. Whitmore owned part of Meridian. Pike nodded. Indirectly. What happened to the footage? The full stream was pulled. And, later, 17 seconds were missing from the archived copy. Could that happen accidentally? He laughed once. No. The answer was so simple it almost made me angry. For 8 years, people had called it a technical failure. The man who maintained the system needed one syllable. No. Did you report it? I asked questions. And, the next morning, my contract was terminated. Daniel sat back. Pike looked at me. I had a wife. 2 kids. Mortgage. I shut up. I stared at him. So everyone had a reason. What? Everyone who helped bury me had a reason. He looked ashamed. I continued. One was scared. One needed money. One wanted power. Ethan. Daniel's warning came quietly. I stopped. Pike took an envelope from inside his coat. I kept something. He placed it on the table. Inside was a printed system log. Timestamp. Remote access credential. Data extraction. Archive modification. 17 seconds. My hands shook slightly. Not because it proved Ryan was driving. It didn't. But it proved the evidence had been altered. That was the first real crack. Why keep this? Pike looked at me. Because one day I wanted to be able to prove I wasn't crazy. I understood that more than he knew. The next morning, I sent Claire a photograph of the log. No message. She called in under a minute. Where did you get that? Good morning. Ethan. What? Where did you get it? You recognize it. Silence. Interesting. Come meet me. Why? Because this conversation cannot happen over the phone. Your rules don't work on me anymore. Please. That word still affected me. Not enough. But some old wounds remember pressure. We met in a quiet cafe. Claire arrived without makeup and looked like she hadn't slept. I put the system log between us. What is it? She stared. You already know. No. I know what Daniel thinks it is. I want to know what you know. Her eyes snapped up. How do you know Daniel? I smiled. You just made the same mistake twice. She closed her eyes. Fine. How did you know this existed? I didn't. You recognized the format. I've seen similar records. During my case? She looked away. I leaned back. There it was. Claire. I saw a reference to a network access issue. 17 seconds? Yes. And you did nothing. I asked about it. Who? My supervisor. And I was told the camera experienced data corruption. You believe that? I didn't have proof otherwise. You had me telling you otherwise. That wasn't proof. No. I was just the man sleeping beside you. She looked down. I know how it sounds. You know how it was. I slid another paper toward her. The witness payment. Then another. The vehicle computer replacement. Her face changed with each one. Where did you get these? Answer one question. She looked up. Was Ryan driving? Her mouth tightened. Again. I almost admired her consistency. You still can't say it. Ethan. 8 years. Stop. 3 words. Stop. Ryan was driving. Her hand slammed against the table. Yes. People nearby turned. Claire immediately lowered her voice. Yes. My entire body went still. I had known. Of course I had known. But hearing her say it changed something. The room seemed quieter. Smaller. Claire's eyes filled with tears. He was driving. I watched her. You knew. Yes. And you helped them anyway. It wasn't supposed to happen like that. How was it supposed to happen? They told me you'd get a deal. A deal. Reduced time. Limited charges. Your company would survive. I laughed. They told you that? Yes. And you believed them? I was 27 and terrified. So was I? I know. No. You don't. She flinched. I leaned forward. You went home after every hearing. Ethan, you slept in your bed. You worked. You got promoted. You had birthdays. Her eyes closed. I know. No. You counted years. I counted days. She started crying. I felt nothing close to satisfaction. That annoyed me. I had imagined her tears would mean something. They didn't. Who told you I'd get a reduced sentence? She didn't answer. Ryan? No. His father? She looked away. There it was. Charles Whitmore. Her silence confirmed it. What else did he ask you to do? Nothing. I laughed. Don't insult me. I changed language. What language? In my report. I know that. No, you don't. She looked at me. I wrote that you were disoriented after the crash. They wanted me to say you were aggressive. My jaw tightened. And I did. What else? That you admitted being angry at Ryan. I never did. I know. You manufactured intent. Her face crumpled. I know. For 8 years. I'd imagined confronting her. Now each answer felt like another brick added to something already crushing. I stood. Claire reached for my wrist. Please. I looked at her hand. She let go. I need you to understand. No. You need to stop before Ryan realizes how much you know. He already knows. You don't understand what he does when he's afraid. I smiled faintly. I'm starting to. That night, Daniel called. His office had been broken into. I arrived 20 minutes later. The door lock was damaged. Drawers open. Cabinets disturbed. Laptop untouched. Cash untouched. Only one filing cabinet had been emptied. Coal mobility. Daniel stood among scattered papers. They didn't steal anything else. Did they take the Pike log? He smiled. No. Where is it? My wife has it. I looked at him. You gave evidence to Maya? She scares me more than Ryan does. Fair. I crouched and picked up a folder. Whoever searched the room had been hurried. Or angry. Either way, they had made another mistake. A small white card lay beneath the cabinet. Not ours. A visitor access card. Logo in the corner. Whitmore Dynamics. Daniel stared. You think they dropped that? Maybe. Convenient. Too convenient. I stood. Then why leave it? He understood. They want us looking at Whitmore. Yes. which means someone else is worried. The case had just changed. Ryan was still at the center. But maybe Ryan wasn't the only one who needed the past buried. I looked at the damaged office. For 8 years, I'd thought the story had two villains. Ryan. Claire. Now I wasn't so sure. And that made me more interested than afraid. Claire called me at 2:13 a.m. I watched the phone ring until it stopped. Then it rang again. And again. On the fourth call, I answered. What? Her breathing was uneven. Where are you? Why? Answer me. No. Ethan. Please. I sat up. What happened? Silence. Then, Ryan knows about Samuel Pike. My grip tightened around the phone. How? I don't know. You're calling me at 2 in the morning to tell me something he somehow learned after I told you. I didn't tell him. Then who did? I don't know. That answer is becoming your specialty. Ethan, what did Ryan say? He asked whether you'd contacted Pike. How did he phrase it? What? Exactly. Claire paused. He said, tell Ethan digging up old technicians won't change what happened. Daniel's office. Pike. Someone was feeding Ryan information. I looked at the clock. Why are you warning me? Because I don't want anyone else hurt. Anyone else? She exhaled. I know how that sounded. No. I think it sounded exactly right. I'm trying. You tried 8 years ago. Please stop doing that. Stop remembering. Her voice broke. I'm trying to help you. Then send me everything. Silence. Everything what? Your notes. Reports. Messages. Anything from that night. I can't. Then you're not helping. It isn't that simple. It never is with you. I ended the call. The next morning, Samuel Pike disappeared. Not literally. He just stopped answering. His house was empty. A neighbor said he and his wife had left before sunrise. Daniel and I drove back to the diner. Nothing. Then Pike sent one message. I was wrong. I don't remember anything. Leave me out of this. Daniel stared at my phone. That's not good. No. You think Ryan got to him? Yes. How? I didn't answer. Because only 4 people knew Pike had met us. Me, Daniel, Pike, Claire. 3 hours later, I got confirmation. Not from Claire. From Ryan. He sent a message. You should learn when people are trying to protect you. I showed Daniel. His expression darkened. You still think Claire didn't tell him? I don't know. That's generous. No. I put the phone down. It's stupid. Daniel frowned. What is? Hope. I confronted Claire that evening. She opened her apartment door and immediately knew. What happened? You tell me. Ethan, Pike left. Her face changed. I didn't know. Ryan did. I swear, how? I don't know. I stepped inside. She closed the door. Did you tell him? No. Look at me. She did. Did you tell Ryan about Pike? No. I watched her. 8 years ago. I had believed every expression on her face. Now I studied them like evidence. Did you tell anyone? She hesitated. That was enough. Who? It wasn't who. She closed her eyes. My former supervisor. I laughed. Of course. Ethan. Listen. Why? Because I needed to know what records still existed. So you gave him Pike's name? I asked about a maintenance contractor. You said his name. I didn't think. That sentence should be carved on your headstone. Her face tightened. I was trying to verify your evidence. You gave them the witness. I didn't know he was connected to Ryan. You knew everyone was connected to Ryan. I was scared. There it was. The same sentence. The same justification. 8 years later. I stared at her. You were scared. I thought if the records were fake, so you protected yourself. No. Yes. I was trying to find out whether you were walking into a trap. You created one. She stepped toward me. I didn't know Ryan would find out. But he did. I'm sorry. I laughed. You know what's incredible? What? For 8 years. I thought maybe the worst thing you ever did happened once. Her face went pale. You thought one terrible night defined you. Ethan. But here we are. I stepped closer. And the moment you got scared, you chose him again. No. Yes. I didn't choose Ryan. You chose yourself. That silenced her. I nodded. Which has always meant choosing Ryan. Her eyes filled. I still love you. That almost made me angry. Not because I believed her. Because some part of her apparently believed herself. You don't love me. Her lips trembled. You don't get to tell me what I feel. Yes. I do. No. You love who I was. She froze. The man who trusted you. I pointed toward the floor between us. The man who would take the damage so you didn't have to. That isn't fair. No. I nodded. Fair would have been 8 years ago. She started crying. I felt tired. More than angry. More than hurt. Just tired. You don't love me. Claire. She shook her head. You love the version of me who kept paying for your choices. She covered her mouth. I walked toward the door. Ethan. I stopped. Her voice was barely audible. If I give you everything, will it change anything between us? I looked back. There it was. The real question. Not truth. Not justice. Us. Still us. No. The answer hurt her. I saw it. But it was the truth. Then why should I destroy my life? I stared at her. For several seconds. Neither of us spoke. Then I nodded slowly. Thank you. She looked confused. For what? For finally saying it clearly. I opened the door. 8 years ago. I thought you betrayed me because you were scared. I looked back once. Now I know you knew exactly what you were buying. Then I left. I walked 3 blocks before checking my phone. One new email. No sender name. No subject. Inside was a photograph. Old. Grainy. Timestamped the night of the crash. The image showed the Aston Martin near the intersection. Ryan stood beside the driver's side. Not enough. Still not enough. But then I looked closer. Across the street was a dark storefront window. In the reflection, Ryan's body was positioned directly beside the driver door seconds before the crash. My pulse increased. Another attachment loaded. The same photograph enlarged. A red circle had been drawn around Ryan's hand. The keys were visible. Then I saw the message beneath it. There is more. I immediately tried replying. The address bounced. Daniel came over 10 minutes later. He studied the photograph. Who sent it? No idea. Could be fake. Yes. You believe it? I believe somebody wants me to. That's not the same thing. No. He zoomed in. Where would this have come from? Private camera. Store? Maybe. Daniel frowned. Then why didn't it appear 8 years ago? Because somebody buried it. Ryan? Maybe. Claire? I shook my head. No. You sure? She would have used it differently. Daniel looked at me. How? She would have hidden it. I tapped the message. This person wants me moving. Toward what? That was the problem. I didn't know. My phone buzzed. Another message. This time from Ryan. Come see me tomorrow. Alone. Daniel read it. Absolutely not. I smiled. You say that a lot. Because you keep having terrible ideas. I looked at the photograph again. Unknown sender. Ryan panicking. Claire still protecting herself. Somebody else pushing pieces toward me. The board was getting crowded. 8 years ago, Ryan controlled every move. Now he didn't even know who else was playing. I looked at Daniel. I'm going. He sighed. Of course you are. Ryan received me in his office on the 54th floor of Whitmore Tower. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city. He stood with his back to me. You've been busy. So have you. He turned. You contacted Pike. You contacted Pike faster. His expression didn't change. He's confused. He seemed clear to me. Old men get confused. 38 isn't old. A pause. Ryan smiled. Still paying attention. More than you'd like. He walked toward his desk. Claire told me you've become obsessed. There it was. My chest went cold. What exactly did Claire tell you? That you're digging into the past. Interesting. She's worried about you. No. She's worried about herself. Ryan laughed. At least you finally understand her. I took one step closer. Did she tell you about the photo? His smile vanished. 1 second. That was all. But it was enough. He hadn't known. I smiled. What photo? Too late. Ryan stared. Then recovered. You're bluffing. Am I? What do you have? I shrugged. Apparently. People kept more than you thought. His jaw tightened. Name your price. The words came softly. I almost laughed. What? You want money? No. Everyone wants money. 8 years ago, you offered me 8 million for my company. He said nothing. I said no. You regret that? No. I think you do. I regret getting into your car. You never did. We stared at each other. Then Ryan smiled. Exactly. It took me half a second. Then I understood. He had just contradicted the official story. The story said I drove his car. Ryan realized it too. His face changed. I said nothing. That made it worse. He leaned forward. You're twisting words. I'm remembering them. You have nothing. Then why am I here? His eyes hardened. For the first time since I returned. Ryan stopped pretending. Because you need to understand something. I waited. The past stays where I put it. I smiled. There you are. What? The real Ryan. He stepped closer. You think 8 years made you dangerous? No. I looked around his office. 8 years made you comfortable. I walked toward the door. Behind me. Ryan said, Claire will choose herself every time. I stopped. He continued. She chose herself 8 years ago. I turned. And she chose herself again this week. He smiled. She'll keep doing it. I hated that he was right. Maybe that was why his smile bothered me more than any threat. But I gave him nothing. I opened the door. Ryan? What? You should worry less about Claire. His smile faded. And worry more about whoever sent me the photograph. For the first time, I saw genuine fear on his face. I walked out before he could hide it. Now I knew two things. Claire had betrayed me again, and someone inside Ryan's world wanted him exposed. The only question was why. The message arrived at 6:42 the next morning. No greeting, no explanation, just an address and a time. 11 a.m. Wyndham Conservatory, East Entrance. Come alone. Daniel read it twice. No. I looked at him over my coffee. You didn't even ask what I think. I know what you think. What do I think? That anonymous people who send secret photographs and summon you to strange buildings are probably worth meeting. That does sound like me. It sounds like someone who developed a dangerous relationship with bad decisions. I picked up my jacket. Daniel stepped in front of me. Ethan. What? You have no idea who this is. Exactly. That is not a reason to go. It is when they have evidence. They might also have a gun. Optimistic. I'm serious. So am I. He exhaled through his nose. Then I'm coming. The message says alone. I don't care. If whoever this is wanted me dead. They've had opportunities. That may be the least comforting thing you've ever said. I smiled. Stay nearby? That's not the same as coming. It's the compromise you're getting. Daniel muttered something under his breath. Probably about my intelligence. I ignored him. Because since returning, everything had followed one pattern. Ryan threatened. Claire hesitated. People disappeared. Evidence surfaced from somewhere inside the Whitmore orbit. Whoever was feeding me those pieces knew things Ryan didn't want exposed. That meant they were either very brave or very guilty. I intended to find out which. The Wyndham Conservatory had once belonged to an industrialist who collected rare plants and apparently hated sunlight entering a room normally. Glass ceilings arched over stone paths. Tall palms rose toward the roof. It was nearly empty. Too early for tourists. Perfect for a private conversation. I entered through the east side. No one approached. I walked past an indoor fountain. Then I saw her. She sat on a bench beneath a row of orchids. Silver blonde hair. Cream coat. Perfect posture. Even from 20 feet away, she looked like someone who had spent a lifetime being recognized before speaking. I stopped. Margaret Whitmore looked up. Ryan's mother. For 1 second, I considered turning around. She smiled faintly. You came. I didn't move. You sent the photograph. Yes. You sent the access log? No. That surprised me. She gestured toward the bench. Sit. I'm fine. Still suspicious. Your family bought 8 years of my life. I'd call suspicion healthy. Her expression changed. Not anger. Pain. Interesting. I deserve that. I'm glad we agree. Margaret folded her hands. I've wanted to speak with you for a long time. 8 years. She held my gaze. Yes. I laughed once. That's a long time to wait. I know. Then save us both the performance. Her face remained calm. You think I'm here because I feel guilty, do you? Yes. That wasn't my question. She paused. I'm here because my son has become dangerous. I stared at her. He became dangerous before I lost 8 years. Yes. And you protected him. Yes. The speed of the answer surprised me. No excuses. No softening. Just yes. I stepped closer. Did you know he was driving? Margaret's eyes lowered. Not that night. When? The next morning. My jaw tightened. And what did you do? Nothing. There it was. Again. Everyone in my story had their own version of nothing. Claire did nothing. Witnesses did nothing. Technicians did nothing. Margaret Whitmore had apparently done nothing with the resources of a billionaire family behind her. You knew by morning. Yes. And you let me take the blame. I told myself Charles would correct it. Your husband. Yes. You believed him? No. That answer landed harder. You knew he wouldn't. I suspected. But you stayed silent. Yes. I laughed bitterly. You know. Claire used fear. Margaret said nothing. Pike used family. Still nothing. What did you use? Her eyes met mine. My son. There was no defense in her tone. Only confession. I thought protecting Ryan from one terrible mistake would save him. And Margaret looked away toward the fountain. It taught him he could survive anything if someone else paid. I felt anger rising. You needed 8 years to discover that. No. She looked back. I needed 8 years to stop lying to myself about what I had done. I studied her face. There was something unfamiliar about speaking with someone from the Whitmore family who wasn't trying to manipulate me. That didn't make her trustworthy. It made her dangerous in a different way. Why now? Margaret took a breath. Because Ryan is doing it again. With me. With others. She reached into her bag and removed a slim black folder. I didn't touch it. What is that? Internal transfers. To who? Several people connected to the original case. My eyes narrowed. Current payments? Yes. Why? I don't know all of it. You expect me to believe that? I expect you to read. I took the folder. Inside were payment summaries, consulting agreements, non-disclosure settlements, a legal retainer for Samuel Pike's former company, another payment to a witness from the crash. Recent. 2 weeks ago. My pulse changed. Ryan wasn't only reacting to my investigation. He had been maintaining the old lie before I even returned. Why keep paying them? Margaret answered quietly. Because some lies require maintenance. I looked at her. That sounds like experience. It is. I closed the folder. Where did the photo come from? Private security archive. Yours? Charles's. My jaw tightened. Your husband had that photo. Yes. During my trial. Yes. Why wasn't it used? You know why? I laughed under my breath. Say it. She looked at me directly. Because it showed Ryan beside the driver's door. Hearing it from her felt different from Claire's confession. Claire had cried. Margaret didn't. Maybe guilt changed when it aged. How much more is there? A great deal. Then give it to me. No. The answer came too quickly. I stared. There it is. What? The Whitmore condition. This isn't about protecting Ryan. Of course it is. No. She stood. For the first time, some authority entered her voice. It is about protecting thousands of people who work for Whitmore Dynamics. I laughed. You think I care about your company? I think you care about collateral damage. That stopped me. She continued. Ryan has tied personal obligations, family trusts, patents, acquisitions, and corporate financing together. If you attack everything publicly without understanding the structure, innocent employees will pay before he does. I said nothing. She watched me carefully. That matters to you. Why? Because if it didn't, you would already have leaked what you know. I hated that she was right. Margaret reached into her bag again. This time she removed a small brass key. She held it out. What is it? Storage facility. Unit 413. Where? North Mercer. What's inside? Charles's private archive. I stared at the key. Digital? Mostly physical. Why? He trusted paper. Smart man. He was many things. Good wasn't one of them. No. Again. No defense. I took the key. What am I going to find? The original vehicle service report. My grip tightened. Internal correspondence. She continued. Witness payment records. Copies of private security footage. Corporate acquisition notes. I stared at her. Acquisition notes? Her eyes changed. That was the first moment I knew the crash wasn't the entire story. What acquisition? Margaret hesitated. Coal mobility. Everything inside me went still. What? Charles was interested in your company before the crash. I knew Whitmore Automotive wanted licensing rights. No. She shook her head. He wanted control. I refused Ryan's offer. Charles knew you would. How? Because Ryan told him. I remembered the club. $8 million on a napkin. Everybody has a number. What happened after I refused? Margaret looked at me for a long time, then said, the accident made certain options easier. My stomach tightened. What are you saying? I'm saying you need to see the archive. I stepped closer. No. You came here to confess. Confess. Margaret's face tightened. I don't know whether the crash was planned. The sentence chilled me. What? I don't believe it was. But? Charles recognized opportunity quickly. How quickly? Hours. I stared at her. Hours. While I sat under fluorescent lights being questioned. While Claire was building the story around me. While Ryan was probably sobering up somewhere comfortable. Charles Whitmore had already been thinking about my company. Your husband used the crash to take my technology. Margaret swallowed. Yes. How much did you know? Not enough then. How much now? Enough to know you were not only framed. She looked at the key in my hand. You were removed. For a moment, all I could hear was water from the fountain. 8 years. I had spent 8 years believing I was collateral damage from a rich man's panic. Now a worse possibility stood in front of me. Maybe after the panic came strategy. Maybe after they decided to save Ryan. Someone looked at my ruined life and asked what else could be taken. I looked at Margaret. Why give this to me? Her composure finally cracked. My son tried to destroy you once. She looked away, and I helped by saying nothing. Then back at me. If I stay silent again, this time I know exactly what I am. I said nothing. Margaret reached for her bag. Before leaving, she stopped. One more thing. What? Do not tell Claire I contacted you. I laughed. You really don't trust her. Margaret's expression hardened. No. That surprised me. Why? Because Claire has always believed fear excuses betrayal. The words were almost exactly what I had been thinking for days. Margaret looked toward the exit. People like that are predictable until they panic. Then she walked away. Daniel met me 2 blocks away. I got into the car and handed him the key. He stared. Please tell me you didn't rob an old woman. Ryan's mother. He nearly dropped the key. What? Margaret Whitmore. You met Ryan's mother? Yes. The Ryan Whitmore? How many do you know? Daniel stared through the windshield. This family is insane. She says there's an archive. What kind? The kind that might prove they stole my company after framing me. He turned slowly. What? I looked at the key. Drive. Unit 413 was underground. Private facility. Climate controlled. No attendant asked questions after I used the access code Margaret had provided. The steel door rolled upward. Boxes. Dozens. Each labeled by year. Daniel whistled. Ryan's father really did love paper. I stepped inside. A box near the center caught my eye. Cole Mobility Systems, me name. My old company. Inside Charles Whitmore's private archive. I pulled it down. Daniel stood beside me. You ready? No. I opened it anyway. The first document was dated 3 weeks before the crash. Strategic Acquisition Assessment. Cole Mobility Systems. My chest tightened. I turned the page. There were notes. Market potential. Patent exposure. Founder resistance. Founder resistance. That was me. Another page. Primary obstacle. Ethan Cole unwilling to sell controlling interest. Daniel swore quietly. I kept reading. Then I found a handwritten note in the margin. 3 words. Pressure may change. I stared at it. Daniel read over my shoulder. Jesus. No. I turned the page. Not yet. Because beneath that document was another one. Dated 2 days after the crash. Emergency Asset Opportunity Review. My hand stopped. The title alone told me enough. Daniel's voice lowered. Ethan. I looked at him. They didn't just save Ryan. I held up the paper. They harvested me. And suddenly 8 stolen years felt even larger. We spent 14 hours in the archive. At some point, Daniel ordered food. Neither of us touched it. Every box changed the story. At first, I had believed the truth would be simple. Ryan drove drunk. He crashed. His family panicked. Claire helped frame me. That would have been terrible enough. But simple lies don't survive 8 years. Systems do. And Charles Whitmore had built one. The first set of records focused on the crash. Vehicle diagnostics. Internal calls. Private security logs. Emergency communications. The Aston Martin's onboard system recorded driver weight distribution before impact. Daniel read the figure twice. 89 kilograms. That was Ryan. You were what? 76. He stared at me. So this alone could have destroyed their story. Why wasn't it in Discovery? I pulled another sheet. Service order. Issued the next morning. Replace driver seat pressure sensor module. Replace telemetry unit. Preserve exterior damage only. Daniel's face hardened. They stripped the data. Yes. And then said the system was damaged. Yes. Who ordered it? We both looked at the signature. C. Whitmore. Charles. Not Ryan. His father. I set it aside. Next file. Private security communication. Timestamp. 43 minutes after the crash. R. W. Intoxicated. Situation unstable. Counsel en route. Need alternative exposure pathway. Daniel looked at me. Alternative exposure pathway? Me. Another message. Cole present at scene. Existing conflict documented at Vesper. Relationship with Bennett potentially useful. I stopped breathing for half a second. Daniel read it. Then looked at me. They knew about Claire. Yes. Before she arrived. Yes. How? I already knew. Ryan. He knew Claire was my girlfriend. He'd known for months. Maybe because I'd mentioned her. Maybe because he had people dig into me. It didn't matter. What mattered was how quickly they understood the value. Cole present. Conflict documented. Girlfriend in investigation. Useful. My life reduced to a convenient pathway. I kept reading. At 1:18 a.m. Charles Whitmore contacted someone in Claire's chain of command. At 1:42, Claire's preliminary statement changed. At 2:03, the first witness identified me as the driver. At 3:11, Meridian Infrastructure requested access to the traffic camera archive. By sunrise, the story already existed. Daniel rubbed both hands over his face. This wasn't improvisation. No, this was coordinated. Yes. He looked at me. You realize what this means. They didn't need to know every detail. What? I tapped the timeline. They only needed everyone to move in the same direction. Claire changed language. A supervisor pushed the report. A technician altered footage. A witness received money. A service center removed vehicle data. No single person had to understand the entire conspiracy. They just had to do their part. That was why it survived. Because everyone could tell themselves they only moved one piece. Then we opened the corporate files. That was where anger became something colder. Charles Whitmore's acquisition team had been tracking coal mobility for 6 months before the crash. My adaptive vector platform had applications far beyond consumer vehicles. Fleet logistics, emergency routing, autonomous safety, predictive mobility. Ryan's $8 million offer had been the friendly option. I found an internal memo dated the day before the crash. Coal remains unwilling to sell. Recommend waiting until Halcyon decision. If Halcyon signs, acquisition cost increases significantly. Then another. 3 days after the crash. Founder legal exposure creates severe instability. Credit positions should be accumulated through intermediaries. I stared. Daniel cursed. They bought your debt. Yes. When investors pulled out. Yes. They forced liquidation. Yes. And then bought assets. Through shell companies. He looked at the patent list. Arclight, Meridian, North Cross Ventures. All Whitmore controlled. My company hadn't simply collapsed. It had been dismantled, piece by piece, then resold into companies ultimately connected to Whitmore. They took the software architecture, patent drafts, testing data, prototype documentation. Years later, Whitmore Dynamics packaged redesigned versions of the same concepts as innovation. Ryan became a celebrated CEO. I became a forgotten cautionary tale. Daniel sat down slowly. I'm sorry. I looked at him. For what? For not finding this. You weren't supposed to. I should have. No. I closed the file. They designed it so nobody would. A box near the bottom contained personal notes. Charles Whitmore's handwriting was small and precise. I recognized the style from the margins. One page had my name underlined. Coal is technically exceptional, but emotionally rigid. Loyalty to ownership concept will prevent voluntary sale. Legal pressure may alter leverage. I stared. Daniel noticed. What? He studied me. How much? Enough. Another note. Bennett relationship may be exploitable if necessary. Young. Ambitious. Financially exposed through family obligations. My chest went cold. Financial obligations? Daniel leaned over. What? Claire. We searched. Found another file. Claire's mother had undergone expensive medical treatment 8 years ago. Debt. Loans. Late payments. Then, 1 week after the crash, a private foundation paid most of it. The foundation had Whitmore donors. Daniel looked at me. You think they bought her? I didn't answer. Because suddenly Claire's fear had another shape. Not excuse. Never excuse. But motive. They hadn't merely threatened her career. They had identified pressure points before she ever made her choice. Ryan's family knew where to press. I sat back. For a moment, I remembered Claire in our kitchen 8 years ago. Tired. Worried. Telling me her mother's bills were getting worse. I had offered to help. She refused. Said I needed every dollar for the company. 2 weeks later, Ryan crashed. 1 week after that, Claire's family debt started disappearing. My stomach turned. Daniel watched me. You okay? No. Do you think she knew where the money came from? Yes. You're sure? No. I looked at the payment date. But I'm going to find out. Claire met me that evening in an empty parking structure. She sounded angry on the phone. That was useful. Angry people make mistakes. She got out of her car. What did you find? I held up a copy of the foundation payment. Her face drained of color. That answered everything. You knew. She looked around. Where did you get that? You knew. Ethan, your mother's medical debt. She closed her eyes. I stepped closer. Did Charles Whitmore pay it? I didn't ask him to. That wasn't my question. Yes. The word was barely audible. I laughed once. Of course. Before or after your statement? After. How long after? Days. And you didn't think that mattered? I knew what it was. Payment. No. What would you call it? She looked at me. Control. That stopped me. Claire's eyes filled. They never said it directly. They didn't need to. No. Did you return it? I couldn't. Why? My mother would have lost treatment. There it was again. A choice. Always a choice. Always me on the other side. You could have told me. I was ashamed. You could have told my attorney. They were watching everything. You could have exposed them. And destroy my mother? I stared. You destroyed me. She flinched as if I'd struck her. Good. Because truth deserved impact. Claire wiped her face. You think I don't know that? I don't know what you know. I know every day. Then help me. She froze. Give me everything. Her fear returned. I can't. I laughed bitterly. Still, you don't understand. No, Claire. I understand too well now. I pulled out another page. Vehicle sensor data. Her eyes widened. Then another. Camera access logs. Another. Witness payments. Her breathing changed. Where did you get these? Doesn't matter. Yes, it does. Why? Because if Ryan knows someone kept these, he does. No. She shook her head. Ryan doesn't know everything his father kept. That caught me. What? Claire looked away. Charles didn't trust Ryan. How do you know? I heard them argue once. When? After your case. About what? Ryan wanted certain records destroyed. And Charles? He said insurance was useful. I smiled without humor. Of course he did. Claire's hands trembled. Ethan, you need to stop. No, you don't understand what else is out there. Then tell me. She looked at me. And I knew. There was something more. What are you hiding? Nothing. Lie. I'm not. You looked exactly like this 8 years ago. Her face broke. Stop. What is it? She shook her head. Claire. No. I stepped closer. What did you keep? She stared at me. That was the moment. The question landed. Her silence confirmed it. You kept something. She backed away. It isn't what you think. What is it? I can't. What? Her lips trembled. A recording. Everything went quiet. What recording? Claire covered her face for a second, then lowered her hands. Ryan. My chest tightened. What about Ryan? He confessed. I stared. When? The night after the crash. How? I recorded him. My body went cold. You had a confession. It wasn't clean. You had a confession. It included me. I don't care. I do. Her voice echoed through the structure. Claire started crying. I was trying to protect myself. For 8 years. I was scared. You let me rot for 8 years while you had a recording? It wasn't enough. Did he say he was driving? She closed her eyes. Yes. I stepped back. Not because I wanted distance. Because if I stayed close, I wasn't sure what I'd say or do. You had it. Yes. For 8 years. Yes. And every time you visited me, I know. Every time you said you were trying, I know. Every time you told me to trust you, I know. She was crying openly now. I felt nothing. That was worse. Where is it? Claire shook her head. No. I stared. What? I can't give it to you. I laughed. Something ugly and empty. Of course. Ethan, no. I walked away. She called my name. I stopped but didn't turn. You know what the worst part is? Silence. I thought Ryan stole 8 years from me. I looked back. But you had them in your pocket the whole time. Then I left. Daniel was waiting at home. I walked into the garage. He saw my face. What happened? Claire has a recording. He froze. What kind? Ryan confessed. Daniel stared. You're kidding. No. Then we have him. No. Why not? She won't release it. His expression changed. Why? Because she's on it too. Daniel sat down slowly. For several seconds. Neither of us spoke. Then he said, Jesus. I looked at the archive boxes. The documents. The years. The proof. Everything was finally converging. Ryan's family built the lie. Charles weaponized it. Claire helped maintain it. And somewhere on a hidden recording was the truth in Ryan's own voice. I looked at Daniel. We don't need to convince Claire. What? We need to make hiding it more dangerous than releasing it. Daniel studied me. How? I looked toward the city lights through the garage window. Ryan thinks the past belongs to him. I picked up one of the corporate acquisition files. So we take his present. Whitmore Dynamics held an emergency board meeting 48 hours later. I knew because Margaret called me. It was the first time she contacted me directly. Ryan knows. Her voice was controlled, but only barely. Knows what? That records are missing from Charles's archive. How? I accessed the family trust index. Careless. I didn't expect him to be monitoring me. You underestimated your son. Yes. For once. She sounded tired rather than elegant. What is he doing? Calling the board together. Why? He wants to remove me as trustee. I smiled faintly. He's afraid. He's furious. Same thing in men like Ryan. Margaret was silent. Then, he's also preparing something against you. What? I don't know yet. That's helpful. Ethan, what? If he attacks publicly, do not react emotionally. I laughed. You sound like Daniel. Then Daniel is sensible. He'll be thrilled. Margaret continued. Ryan believes public perception still protects him. He's right. For now. I looked at the documents spread across Daniel's table. Not for long. Ryan moved first. By noon, 3 major websites were carrying variations of the same story. Disgraced former engineer targets Whitmore CEO after Relius. Ethan Cole accused of harassment. Campaign sources say Cole seeking money from Whitmore. Daniel slammed his laptop shut. Subtle. I kept reading on my phone. Old photographs resurfaced. My conviction. The crash. The original official narrative. Anonymous sources described me as unstable, obsessed, financially desperate. One article claimed I had demanded $50 million. Did you? Daniel asked. I looked at him. Do you think I'd stop at 50? He almost laughed. Then his phone rang. He answered. Listened. His face changed. What? He put the call on speaker. A former Cole Mobility investor spoke quickly. Ethan, I just got contacted by Whitmore Legal. They're asking whether you've approached me about statements. I leaned toward the phone. What did you tell them? That you haven't. Good. They're building something. I know. After the call ended, Daniel looked at me. So what now? I smiled. We let him. That's the plan. For today, you're enjoying this too much. No. I looked at Ryan's latest statement. We sympathize with Mr. Cole's difficulty rebuilding his life. But Whitmore Dynamics will not tolerate intimidation or false claims. I read it twice, then forwarded it to Margaret. Her reply came instantly. He used the company name. Exactly. Ryan had made the mistake I wanted. He had tied Whitmore Dynamics publicly to his personal defense. That gave the board a reason to care. The board meeting began at 4. I wasn't there, but Margaret was, and 2 board members had already received copies of Charles's acquisition records. Not everything, just enough. Evidence that Whitmore-controlled entities acquired Cole Mobility assets after my conviction. Evidence that Ryan's public statement might expose the company to enormous liability. At 4:37, Whitmore shares began falling. Not crashing. Not yet. But enough for financial media to notice. At 4:52, Nordhaven Mobility suspended negotiations indefinitely. At 5:11, another partner requested documentation regarding intellectual property provenance. At 5:26, Ryan called me. I answered. You think this is clever? Hello to you too. You contacted my board. No. You sent them documents. Maybe. You have no idea what you're doing. That line is getting old. You're damaging thousands of employees. I smiled. Interesting. He was already using Margaret's argument. Difference was, he didn't mean it. You damaged them when you built corporate value on stolen property. You can't prove that. Your father could. Silence. There. You went into the archive. I leaned back. So you do know about it. Ryan's breathing changed. What did my mother give you? Ask her. She's confused. You really like that word. Ethan. What? You want revenge? Fine. Come after me. I am. Leave the company out of it. I laughed. You made yourself the company this morning. Silence. Then his voice lowered. What do you want? The truth. Don't be stupid. That's the second time your family has confused truth with stupidity. You want money. No. Shares. No. Your patents back? Eventually. What? Then? I thought of Claire. The recording. 8 years. Ask Claire. He went silent. That told me enough. You know. I stood. You know she kept it. Ryan's voice sharpened. What are you talking about? He was good, but not perfect. You know exactly what I'm talking about. No. A recording. Silence. Too long. Then, she told you? I smiled. Thanks. Ryan cursed. The line went dead. I immediately called Claire. She answered on the first ring. What did you do? Ryan knows. Silence. How? You tell me. He shouldn't. But he does. Claire's breathing accelerated. Ethan, listen to me. No, you don't understand. I understand that both of you are afraid of the same file. Where are you? Why? Because we need to talk. I laughed. Now. Yes. 8 years late. Ethan. I ended the call. Claire arrived at Daniel's house 40 minutes later. Uninvited. Daniel opened the door. Looked at her. Then at me. I'm going to make coffee. Claire stepped inside. You told Ryan. No. He knows. I know. You used me. Yes. She stared. I didn't bother denying it. You wanted me to panic. Yes. To see what Ryan knew. Yes. Her eyes filled with anger. You're becoming like him. No. I stepped closer. Ryan destroyed people to protect lies. I pointed at her. I'm forcing liars to choose. That sounds better in your head. Probably. She shook her head. You don't understand what's on that recording. Then explain it. Claire looked toward Daniel. He raised both hands. I can leave. No. I said. Claire stared at me. You trust him? Yes. The word hurt her. Good. I trusted you once. She closed her eyes. Then sat down. When she spoke again, her voice was quieter. Ryan came to my apartment the night after the crash. Why? He was drunk again. Of course. He was angry at his father. About? Being controlled. I laughed. Poor Ryan. Claire ignored it. He said Charles was treating him like a child. What did he say about me? She looked at her hands. He said you were convenient. I felt Daniel go still behind me. Exact words. Ethan, exact. Claire swallowed. Cole was already there. Dad says we can make it work. My chest tightened. And he said you should have sold. That hit harder than expected. What? He said if you'd taken the offer, none of this would have happened. Daniel muttered a curse. I stared at Claire. And you recorded this? Yes. Why? Insurance. For who? Myself. Of course. Always herself. What else? Claire's eyes filled. I asked whether anyone would ever know he was driving. And he said no. Exact words. She closed her eyes. Not unless you decide to grow a conscience. Silence. Daniel looked away. I almost laughed at the cruelty of it. Ryan Whitmore had mocked Claire's conscience on a recording she then hid for 8 years. What did you say? Claire started crying. That's why I can't release it. What did you say? She shook her head. Claire. I said. Her voice broke. I said I already changed the report. I stared. What else? I told him I'd made sure your earlier argument looked worse. Daniel's face hardened. Claire continued. I said Charles promised your sentence would be reduced if everyone stayed consistent. The room became silent. There it was. Not just guilt. Not implication. A conversation. Ryan confessing. Claire admitting fabrication. Charles's promise. All in one file. Where is it? Claire shook her head. No. I laughed softly. You came here to tell me all of this and still won't give it to me. If I release it, I lose everything. You already said that. My career. Yes. My pension. Yes. My reputation. Yes. My mother will know what I did. I stared. That's the one that bothers you. Claire broke. She thinks I was brave. The sentence was so small compared to everything else. And somehow I understood. Claire hadn't only built a career. She had built an identity. To her family. To colleagues. To herself. The recording didn't just expose a crime. It murdered the person she pretended to be. I sat across from her. Do you know what my mother thought? Claire looked up. She died believing I did it. Her face went white. You never told me, no? I swallowed. She died 3 years into my sentence. Claire covered her mouth. She visited every month until she got sick. I looked at her. She kept asking me if there was something I hadn't told her. My voice tightened despite myself. She wanted to believe me. Claire started crying harder. I'm sorry. I don't care. I didn't know. That's because my life stopped mattering once your part was done. No. Yes. I leaned forward. You're afraid your mother will learn what you did. Claire nodded through tears. Mine died wondering what I did. She broke completely. For a moment, no one spoke. Then I stood. Give me the recording. Claire stared at the floor. I can't. I nodded. Then leave. Ethan. Leave. She stood slowly. At the door. She turned. If I give it to you, I waited. Will you destroy me? I looked at her. No. Hope appeared. Then I finished. You did that yourself. She left. The next morning, Ryan made his move against Margaret. Emergency family trust vote. He accused her of incapacity. Claimed she was being manipulated. 3 trustees supported him. 2 opposed. Margaret needed 1 more vote. She called me at 9:05. I'm going public. I stood from the table. When? Tomorrow morning. Daniel looked up. With what? The archive. Everything. Enough. I was silent. Margaret continued. If Ryan removes me today, he may gain access to records I cannot protect. Then release them now. I need the board present. Why? Because I want them to see what he does when cornered. I understood. Margaret wasn't only exposing the past. She was forcing Ryan to reveal the present. You're setting a trap. Yes. Runs in the family. She almost laughed. Almost. Then her tone changed. Ethan. What? There is something else. I waited. Charles left a sealed statement. What kind? A letter. To who? To me. What does it say? I haven't read all of it. Why? Because the first page was enough. My grip tightened around the phone. What's on the first page? Margaret was silent for a moment. Then she said, Ryan was driving. We used coal because it solved two problems at once. I closed my eyes. There it was. Not inference. Not financial patterns. Not reconstructed timelines. A sentence from the architect. Two problems at once. Save the son. Remove the founder. Margaret spoke quietly. Tomorrow. I'm reading it publicly. I looked toward Daniel. He had heard. His face had gone still. I said, Claire has the recording. Margaret exhaled. So it exists. You knew? I suspected. Ryan knows too. That means he'll go after her. I immediately looked toward the door. When? Now. The word hit me. I called Claire. No answer. Again. Nothing. Daniel grabbed his keys. We were moving before I finished the third call. Claire's apartment door was open. Not broken. Open. Inside. Drawers were pulled out. Cushions overturned. Closet emptied. Claire stood in the bedroom. Pale. Shaking. Alive. She looked at me. They found it. My stomach dropped. The recording? She nodded. Where was it? Not here. I stopped. What? Claire looked at me. I moved it years ago. Daniel exhaled. Where? She shook her head. I'm not telling anyone. I laughed in disbelief. Still, Claire's eyes hardened. No. For the first time. There was something different in her face. Not fear. Decision. They came into my home. Yes. They threatened my mother. My jaw tightened. What? Ryan called while they were here. What did he say? Claire stared at me. He said if I wanted everyone I loved to stay safe. I needed to remember who protected me 8 years ago. The irony was almost perfect. I stepped closer. What are you going to do? She looked down, then reached into her bag. A small flash drive. She held it in her palm. My heart stopped. That's it. One copy. You said it wasn't here. It wasn't. Where was it? With someone I trust. The words almost made me laugh. Claire looked at me. I listened to it last night. I said nothing. All of it. Her eyes were red. For 8 years. I kept telling myself there were reasons. She swallowed. That I was young. That I was scared. That Charles manipulated me. That Ryan threatened me. That my mother was sick. She shook her head. But I heard my own voice. I watched her. And Claire started crying. I wasn't confused. Silence. I knew exactly what I was doing. That was the first honest thing she had said without being forced. She held out the drive. I didn't take it immediately. What changed? She looked around her destroyed apartment. Then back at me. I spent 8 years protecting myself. Her voice trembled. And Ryan still thinks he owns me. I took the drive. Claire released it. Tomorrow. She said. What? When Margaret goes public. I looked at her. Claire wiped her face. I'll be there. You don't have to. Yes. Her expression hardened. I do. For the first time since I returned. I believed her. Not because she loved me. Not because she was sorry. Because fear had finally become smaller than shame. Daniel looked at the flash drive. So tomorrow we end it. I shook my head. No. He frowned. What? I looked toward the city. Ryan still had money. Lawyers. Board members. Media contacts. Years of narrative. Tomorrow wouldn't end anything. Tomorrow would destroy the lie. Those were different things. I closed my hand around the drive. Tomorrow. I said. We make it impossible to bury again. By 8:30 the next morning. Every major camera in the city seemed pointed at Whitmore Tower. Margaret had announced a material corporate disclosure before sunrise. That phrase was intentionally boring. It made investors nervous without telling Ryan exactly what she planned to reveal. By 7, financial reporters were waiting outside. By 8, the crowd had doubled. By 8:15, Ryan issued a statement saying his mother was under extreme emotional pressure and that anything she said should be treated cautiously. Daniel read it from his phone. He's calling his mother unstable before she even speaks. He knows what's coming. Does he? Enough. We sat in a private conference room 2 floors below the main auditorium. On the table were copies of the documents Margaret had chosen. The vehicle sensor report, the camera access log, the witness payments, the coal mobility acquisition records, Charles Whitmore's handwritten notes. And beside my hand sat Claire's flash drive. Small, black, ordinary. 8 years inside, less than 2 inches of plastic. Daniel glanced at it. You sleep? No, me neither. Claire sat at the far end of the room. She hadn't spoken for almost 20 minutes. She wore a plain dark suit. No badge. No symbols of rank or authority. Maybe intentionally. Maybe she finally understood that today she wasn't coming as Detective Claire Bennett. She was coming as someone who lied. Margaret entered at 8:41. She looked exhausted but composed. Ryan is upstairs. I stood. With the board? Half the board. Several legal advisors. 3 family trustees. He knows about the letter? No. The archive? He suspects. The recording? Her eyes moved toward Claire. Claire answered. He knows it exists. Margaret nodded once. That will frighten him most. Claire looked at her. You knew about it? I knew my son was terrified of something you kept. Claire's face tightened. Margaret continued. Charles mentioned once that you were more dangerous than you understood. Claire laughed bitterly. I wasn't dangerous. No. Margaret looked at her. You were useful. The words hurt. Claire absorbed them silently. I checked the time. Are we doing this? Margaret looked at me. You still have the option to walk away. I almost laughed. So do you? No. Then neither do I. Margaret nodded. At 8:55, someone knocked. A staff member entered. Mrs. Whitmore. They're ready. She looked at us. Then let's tell the truth. The auditorium held more than 200 people. Board members sat in the first rows. Reporters occupied the middle. Employees lined the walls. Investors watched remotely. Ryan stood near the stage speaking with 2 attorneys. He turned when we entered. First he saw Margaret. Then me. Then Claire. His face changed. Only for half a second. But the cameras caught everything now. Good. He approached Margaret. Mother. She walked past him. Not here. His voice hardened. You're making a mistake. Margaret stopped. There was something almost sad in her expression. Your father said that whenever someone refused him. Ryan glanced at me. What has he told you? Less than your father did. His jaw tightened. Mother. Listen to me. No. You don't understand the consequences. I understand them better than I did 8 years ago. That silenced him. Ryan's eyes moved toward Claire. You. Claire didn't look away. What? You have no business here. I have more business here than anyone. He laughed. You really think standing beside him changes what you did? Claire's face paled. But she answered. No. Ryan seemed surprised. Claire continued. That's why I'm here. For once. He had no immediate response. Margaret stepped onto the stage. Microphones crowded the podium. Cameras flashed. The room settled. She didn't begin with corporate language. She didn't begin with the company. She began with me. 8 years ago, Ethan Cole was convicted for a crime my son committed. The room exploded. Voices. Shouts. Questions. Ryan stepped forward. This is false. Margaret raised one hand. The room gradually quieted. She continued. My family knew Ryan Whitmore was driving the vehicle involved in the crash. More noise. Ryan's attorney rushed toward the stage. Margaret ignored him. We allowed evidence to be altered. Ryan shouted, Stop this. She turned toward him. No. One word. The room froze. For 8 years, Ryan had apparently been surrounded by people who eventually obeyed. His own mother no longer did. Margaret faced the cameras again. A traffic camera archive was modified. Vehicle telemetry was removed. Witnesses received financial benefits through companies connected to Whitmore interests. Behind her, a screen displayed the first document. The remote camera access log. Timestamp. Credential. Archive modification. The second appeared. Vehicle driver seat sensor. 89 kilograms. Then the service order. Replace telemetry. Replace sensor module. Charles Whitmore's authorization. A reporter shouted, Are you accusing your late husband of evidence tampering? Margaret didn't flinch. Yes. Ryan stepped onto the stage. That document is being misrepresented. I watched him carefully. This was the Ryan from 8 years ago. Not the polished executive. The frightened air. His face was red. His movements too sharp. Margaret turned toward him. Then explain it. I don't have to participate in this circus. No. She nodded. You only needed everyone else to participate 8 years ago. The crowd murmured. Ryan looked toward the board. In this. Nobody moved. That frightened him. He pointed toward me. This is extortion. I almost smiled. Margaret answered before I could. Ethan asked me for nothing. He wants the company. No. He wants money. No. Then why is he here? I stood from my seat. Margaret looked at me. I hadn't planned to speak yet. But sometimes timing is more important than plans. I walked toward the stage. Ryan stared at me. What do you want? Ethan? The room became quiet. I took one of the microphones. 8 years ago? I looked at him. My life back. Nobody moved. I continued. Today? I glanced toward the documents. I want people to stop pretending they don't know what happened. Ryan laughed. You expect people to believe you? No. I looked toward Margaret. That's why your mother brought documents. A few people laughed. Ryan didn't. I continued. And that isn't the worst part. His face changed. He knew. Margaret gave a signal. The screen changed. Strategic Acquisition Assessment. Coal Mobility SWSTMS. The room quieted again. Margaret spoke. Before the crash, Whitmore Automotive attempted to acquire Ethan Cole's company. Next page. Primary obstacle. Ethan Cole unwilling to sell controlling interest. Then the handwritten note. Pressure may change. Ryan stared at the screen. His expression finally cracked. Where did you get that? Margaret looked at him. Your father kept records. Ryan whispered something I couldn't hear. The next document appeared, dated 3 days after the crash. Founder legal exposure creates severe instability. Credit positions should be accumulated through intermediaries. Then shell company diagrams. Arclight, Meridian, North Cross, all leading back toward Whitmore-controlled entities. A reporter shouted, Are you saying Whitmore used Mr. Cole's conviction to acquire his technology? Margaret answered, Yes. Ryan stepped forward. That was my father. There. The first fracture. Not denial. Distance. Margaret noticed too. So now you admit the documents are real. Ryan froze. He recovered quickly. I'm saying I had nothing to do with corporate decisions 8 years ago. I looked at him. Accept the offer. His eyes turned toward me. What offer? $8 million. Silence. I continued. You wrote it on a napkin at Vesper. I don't remember. I do. You remembering something doesn't make it true. No. I nodded toward Margaret. But your father documented that too. Another file appeared. R.W. Attempted founder approach. Cole declined. Ryan's face went white. Cameras flashed. He looked toward his legal team. They no longer looked confident. Then Margaret reached for a sealed folder. The room became quiet. This next document was written by my husband shortly before his death. Ryan's expression changed completely. Mother. She removed the first page. Don't. Margaret looked at him. For 1 second. She was only a mother. I saw it. The pain. The hesitation. Then she read. Ryan was driving. No one moved. She continued. We used coal because it solved 2 problems at once. The room erupted. Ryan shouted, That is not admissible. Margaret kept reading. 1. Ryan's exposure could be redirected. 2. Coal Mobility's founder would become vulnerable before the Halcyon transaction. I closed my eyes briefly. Even after seeing the line before, hearing it aloud felt different. Clean. Cold. Businesslike. My destruction reduced to 2 numbered advantages. Margaret stopped reading. She placed the page on the podium. Ryan stared at her. You destroyed this family. Margaret shook her head. No. Her voice was calm. We destroyed another man's life to protect ours. She looked directly at him. I'm simply refusing to continue. Ryan laughed. Wildly this time. You think this makes you noble? No. Then what? Late. That answer silenced him. Then came Claire. She stood before anyone asked. The moment Ryan saw the flash drive in her hand, whatever control remained left his face. Claire. She walked toward the stage. Don't. She didn't stop. Claire. His voice changed. Not authority. Fear. She reached the microphone. For several seconds, she said nothing. Then, my name is Claire Bennett. Nobody needed the introduction. She continued anyway. 8 years ago, I participated in the investigation involving Ethan Cole. Ryan moved toward her. One of the attorneys caught his arm. Claire continued. I knew Ryan Whitmore had been driving. Every camera turned toward her. I watched from a few feet away. Her hands shook. Her voice didn't. I changed language in my report. Reporters began shouting questions. Claire spoke louder. I characterized Ethan as aggressive. I presented an argument between him and Ryan as evidence of intent. I supported a narrative I knew was false. Ryan shouted, You're lying. Claire looked at him. You said that on the recording too. His face emptied. The room changed. Everybody felt it. Claire held up the drive. On the night after the crash, Ryan Whitmore came to my apartment. She swallowed. I recorded our conversation. Ryan moved again. Do not play that. Claire looked at him. For 8 years, fear had controlled her. Now everyone watched the moment it lost. She handed the drive to the technician. The room speakers clicked. Static. Then Ryan's younger voice. Clear. Drunk. Angry. Cole was already there. Dad says we can make it work. No one moved. Claire's younger voice followed. He didn't do anything. Ryan, he should have taken the offer. My jaw tightened. Another pause. Then Claire, what if someone finds out you were driving? Ryan laughed through the speakers. Not unless you decide to grow a conscience. The room erupted. Ryan lunged toward the technician booth. Several people blocked him. Turn that off. Nobody listened. The recording continued. Claire's voice. I already changed the report. Ryan, good. Claire, your father promised Ethan won't get the maximum if everyone stays consistent. Ryan, then stay consistent. I looked at Claire. Tears ran down her face. She didn't wipe them. The recording continued. Ryan's voice became quieter. You want your mother's bills handled or not? The room went dead. Claire closed her eyes. There. The transaction. Not legal language. Not indirect pressure. One sentence. Ryan had said it himself. When the audio ended, no one spoke for several seconds. Then reporters began shouting all at once. Ryan screamed at Claire. You ruined yourself? She looked at him. No. Her voice was tired. I did that 8 years ago. He pointed at me. For him? Claire shook her head. No. That surprised me. She continued. For the truth. Ryan laughed. You think he'll forgive you? Claire looked at me. Then back at Ryan. No. Another surprise. He shouldn't. For the first time, Claire had done something without asking what she would receive in return. Maybe it mattered. Maybe it didn't. But it was real. The board moved immediately. Not out of morality. Boards rarely move that quickly because of morality. They moved because liability had become measurable. Ryan was suspended from executive authority pending investigation. His access to certain corporate systems was frozen. The family trust delayed the vote against Margaret. Nordhaven terminated negotiations with Ryan personally while leaving open future talks with Whitmore Dynamics under different leadership. Several directors demanded an independent review of intellectual property acquisitions. Ryan stood near the stage while his empire separated itself from him one document at a time. He looked at me. You think you won? I walked toward him. No. Look around. He gestured wildly. This company employs 12,000 people. I know. My name is on everything. For now. You think they'll choose you? I don't want them to. He stared. That confused him more than hatred would have. You did all this and you don't want Whitmore? No. Then what was the point? I looked at him. You still don't understand. What? For 8 years. You thought the punishment was losing money. Ryan said nothing. You thought if someone took your company, your position, your wealth, that would make us equal. I stepped closer. It doesn't. His face tightened. Then what do you want? My name. I pointed toward the cameras. And now everyone knows who stole it. Ryan looked around. For the first time in his life. Perhaps. Every person in the room could see him clearly. No father between him and consequences. No Claire rewriting reports. No money making the uncomfortable facts disappear quickly enough. Margaret approached. Ryan turned on her. How could you do this to me? Her face broke. For just a moment. My son. Her voice trembled. I did the worst thing I could have done to you 8 years ago. What? I taught you that being loved meant never being held responsible. Ryan stared. Margaret continued. I will regret that until I die. Then she walked away. Ryan looked smaller after she left. Not because he had lost money. Because he had lost the last person still willing to confuse protection with love. Claire found me outside the auditorium. The hallway was quiet compared to the chaos inside. She stopped several feet away. I finally told the truth. I looked at her. Yes. I know it doesn't fix anything. No. I know I'm late. Yes. She almost smiled through the tears. You really don't make this easy. I had 8 years of practice. Her expression collapsed. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then she reached into her pocket. A small velvet box. My breath stopped. I recognized it. What is that? You left it with your things after the trial. I stared. She opened it. The ring. The one I had planned to give her. I found it afterward. My throat tightened. You kept it? Yes. Why? She looked at the diamond. Because it was proof that before I ruined everything, you were planning a future. I said nothing. Claire held it toward me. I think this belongs to you. I took the box. It felt lighter than I remembered. 8 years ago, it had contained my whole life. Now it was just jewelry. Claire looked at me. Is there any world where she stopped? I waited. Where we try again. I looked at the woman I once intended to marry. I remembered flour on her cheek. Late nights in the garage. Her hand in mine. Then rain. Cuffs. Reports. 8 years. And a recording she kept hidden. The man who loved you waited a long time for today. Claire started crying. I closed the box. He didn't survive those 8 years. She nodded slowly. I know. This time. She didn't ask again. I walked away. Behind me, the auditorium erupted with another wave of questions. But the questions were no longer about whether Ethan Cole had lied. They were about how everyone else had. For the first time in 8 years, the burden of explanation belonged to them. And that was enough. 6 months later, my name was removed from the version of history Ryan Whitmore had written for me. That didn't happen in one dramatic moment. Real restoration was slower than destruction. Destruction took hours. Restoration took documents, hearings, reviews, independent examinations, corporate settlements, corrected records, public statements. People who had spent 8 years saying, "The evidence speaks for itself," suddenly explaining that the evidence had been manipulated. The final exoneration arrived on a Wednesday morning. Daniel came into my new office carrying a printed copy, even though we both already had the email. He dropped it on my desk. There. I looked at the first page. Formal language. Dry. Clinical. But one line mattered. The findings against Ethan Cole are vacated in full based on newly established evidence of material misconduct and fabrication. Daniel pointed. Read it. I did. Out loud. No. Come on. I'm not giving you that satisfaction. He grinned. You're officially innocent. I was always innocent. You know what I mean. I looked at the page again. That was the strange part. I had imagined this moment for years. I thought I would feel lighter, vindicated, whole. Instead, I felt calm. Because the paper didn't make me innocent. It simply forced the world to admit what had always been true. I folded it once. Daniel looked horrified. Don't fold that. Why? Frame it. No. Ethan, I'm not hanging the worst thing that happened to me on the wall. He considered that. Fair. Then he pointed through the glass. What are you hanging? Outside my office. Technicians were installing the new company logo. Cole Vector SYS Tim S. Daniel smiled. That. I guess. Exactly. The settlement with Whitmore Dynamics took 4 months. I refused their first offer. Then the second. Not because the numbers were too low. Because they tried to structure the agreement as though I were selling them peace. I wanted ownership clarified first. The independent review concluded that several core systems within Whitmore's autonomous mobility platform derived from Cole Mobility intellectual property acquired through improper intermediary transactions. That sentence cost them more than any public apology. Some patents were reassigned. Others entered licensing arbitration. Several programs were suspended. But I kept the promise I made Margaret. I did not try to destroy Whitmore Dynamics. 12,000 employees hadn't framed me. Engineers hadn't stolen my freedom. Factory workers hadn't erased camera footage. Ordinary shareholders hadn't bribed witnesses. Ryan had spent his life believing power meant making everyone else absorb the consequences of his choices. I refused to copy him. So we negotiated. Whitmore retained limited licenses to several systems. In return, Cole Vector received ownership rights, compensation, and access to derivative research created from my original architecture. Daniel called it highway robbery. I disagreed. It was mine. Exactly. Then it's not robbery. He thought about it. Fine. Highway repossession. I accepted that. Margaret stepped down as acting chair 3 weeks after the settlement. Her final decision was to create an independent employee protection trust funded partly from family assets. The press treated it like redemption. She didn't. Neither did I. We met once after everything ended. A quiet restaurant. No cameras. She looked older. Ryan blames me. I'm sure. He says I chose you over my son. Did you? No. She took a sip of tea. I chose the truth over protecting him. That sounds nicer. It isn't. She looked at me. I still love my son. I know. I may visit him. That's your decision. You don't hate me? I thought about it. I did. And now? I don't think about you enough to hate you. She smiled faintly. That may be worse. Probably. Margaret looked down. I owe you an apology. You already apologized. Not properly. I waited. She didn't cry. Didn't explain. Didn't tell me about motherhood or Charles or fear. She simply said, I knew enough to act. And I chose comfort over courage. You paid for that choice. I am sorry. That was it. No request. No but. No expectation that I make her feel better. I respected it. I didn't forgive her. Maybe one day I would. Maybe forgiveness was overrated. Some things didn't need emotional ceremonies. They just needed to stop controlling your future. Before leaving, Margaret handed me one envelope. What is this? Your original acquisition assessment. I already have copies. This is Charles's original. I opened it. My name. Cole Mobility. Founder Resistance. Pressure may change. I stared at it. Why would I want this? So you can destroy it. I looked at her. She stood. Charles believed every person had a pressure point. Then she glanced toward my hands. He was wrong about you. She left. I sat alone for a while, then tore the document in half. Not dramatically. No fire. No speech. Just paper separating beneath my hands. That was all Charles Whitmore's opinion deserved. Ryan's fall was less cinematic than people expected. He wasn't dragged from some palace. He didn't wake up poor. Men born into wealth rarely fall that cleanly. But he lost the thing he valued most: control. Whitmore Dynamics removed him permanently from executive leadership. Several family trust privileges were suspended. Civil claims followed. Investigations continued. Business partners distanced themselves. People who once laughed at his jokes stopped returning calls. Magazine covers replaced visionary CEO with Whitmore scandal. His name became attached to the crash. To me. To the recording. For 8 years, I had been the man who crashed Ryan Whitmore's car. Now Ryan was the man who framed Ethan Cole. Maybe that was petty. I enjoyed it anyway. He contacted me once. Through an attorney. He wanted a private conversation. I refused. Then he sent a letter. I returned it unopened. Daniel was disappointed. What if it was an apology? It wasn't. How do you know? Ryan apologizes by asking what he gets afterward. Daniel nodded. Fair. And I already know why he did it. Why? Because he could. Daniel stopped smiling. I continued. People keep thinking there must be some deeper reason. I looked out at the engineering floor. Sometimes there isn't. Ryan didn't hate me enough to destroy me. That might have been easier. He simply valued his future more than my life. Then his father saw value in my ruin. Claire valued fear over loyalty. Margaret valued family comfort over truth. Everyone made small decisions. Together they cost me 8 years. That was the real lesson. Lives rarely collapse because one villain presses one button. They collapse because enough people decide someone else can absorb the cost. Claire resigned before anyone forced her. That surprised people. It didn't surprise me. She released a full written statement. Accepted responsibility. Returned awards connected to the career she had built. Cooperated with every review. Her mother learned the truth. Claire told me that part once. We met by accident at a bookstore. She looked different. No polished authority. No defensive posture. Just tired. How is she? I asked. My mother? Yes. She cried. I nodded. She asked why I didn't tell her about the money. What did you say? That I was afraid she'd refuse treatment if she knew. And she said I never gave her the chance to choose. Claire gave a sad laugh. Apparently that's something I did a lot. I didn't answer. She looked at the book in my hand. Engineering? Thriller. She smiled faintly. You hated thrillers. 8 years changed my standards. The smile disappeared. Right. I almost regretted saying it. Almost. Claire looked toward the window. I started counseling. I nodded. I'm not telling you because I expect anything. Good. She hesitated. I spent years thinking remorse was the same as accountability. I looked at her. It isn't. I know. That was all. No request for coffee. No maybe someday. We said goodbye. She walked one direction. I walked the other. It was the healthiest conversation we had ever had. 8 years too late. Cole Vector's first major contract came 7 months after my name was cleared. Nordhaven Mobility. The same company that once nearly signed with Whitmore. They visited our new headquarters for the final agreement. Daniel spent 3 days pretending not to be nervous. You're wearing the blue suit. No. The blue suit makes you look trustworthy. I am trustworthy. That's why you need the suit. Branding. I'm wearing gray. You're impossible. The conference room overlooked the engineering floor. Not 54 stories above a city. No marble. No giant portrait of a founder. I designed it that way. Glass walls. Open labs. Prototypes visible from the hallway. No mystery about where the work came from or who built it. Nordhaven's CEO signed first, then slid the document toward me. The number at the bottom was larger than the halcyon agreement I had nearly signed 8 years ago. Much larger. Daniel stood behind me. I picked up the pen. For a second, I couldn't move. Not because of the money. Because I remembered another desk. A ring in my pocket. A company logo I had designed myself. 29 years old. Certain the future moved in straight lines. It didn't. Daniel noticed. You okay? Yeah. The Nordhaven team looked confused. Daniel smiled. Long story. They laughed politely. I signed. Ethan Cole. Founder CEO. Cole Vector Systems. I stared at my name. Founder. CEO. Mine. After the meeting, everyone moved toward the reception area. Daniel stayed. He picked up the contract. You know what I was thinking? That's usually dangerous. Does it feel like you got the 8 years back? I looked at him. He seemed serious. I turned toward the window. Below us, engineers moved between test benches. One technician laughed. Someone rolled a prototype chassis across the floor. A screen displayed simulation data from Adaptive Vector 4.0. The original system had become something better. Not because of Ryan. Not because suffering magically made me stronger. I hated that idea. Pain didn't improve people automatically. Sometimes it just hurt. What mattered was what you built after. No. Daniel frowned. No. You don't get stolen time back. He watched me. I tapped the signed contract. You can recover money. I looked toward the engineering floor. Technology. Then at my name. Reputation. I thought of my mother. My 20s. Claire. The years no settlement could restore. But time? I shook my head. That's gone. Daniel leaned against the table. That's depressing. It's only depressing if you spend the rest of your life trying to reclaim it. He looked at me. I smiled. You stop letting the people who stole it decide what the rest of your life is worth. Daniel nodded slowly. That was annoyingly good. I've had 8 years to think. 7 months too. Get out. He laughed and left. I stayed beside the window. For years, I had imagined freedom as proving Ryan guilty. Then I imagined it as hearing Claire admit the truth. Then as seeing my name cleared. Each mattered. None was freedom. Freedom came later. It came when I woke up and Ryan wasn't my first thought. When Claire's apology no longer changed my mood. When the old case became something that happened to me rather than the definition of me. When I could look at a future without measuring it against what I lost. On my desk sat the velvet ring box Claire returned. I had kept it for months. Not because I still loved her. Because I didn't know what to do with it. That afternoon, I finally did. I took the ring to a jeweler. He asked whether I wanted to sell it. No. Resize? No. What would you like? I thought about it. Take the stone out. He looked surprised. And the setting? Melt it. For something new? Yes. A week later, he called. The platinum from the old engagement ring had become a simple rectangular plate. No ornament. Just enough space for words. I had it mounted inside Cole Vector's main laboratory. Not where visitors would notice. Where engineers would. The inscription read, "Build what no one can take from you." Daniel thought it was dramatic. He was right. I didn't care. Because 8 years ago, Ryan Whitmore took my company. Claire helped take my name. Charles Whitmore took my work. For a long time, I believed revenge meant taking something back from them. I was wrong. The best revenge was building a life that no longer required anything from them. Ryan lost control. Claire lost the man who once would have forgiven almost anything. Margaret lost the illusion that silence protected her family. And I didn't get 8 years back. I got my name back. Then I built something worthy of it.